Is working as a teacher in the UAE easier or harder than back home in the UK? Good question. People come out here to teach in the UAE for all kinds of different reasons. It could be lifestyle, weather, the fact that it's pretty much sunny 365 days of the year, money and the increase of disposable income, not having to pay taxes, having the opportunity to go out and enjoy your life in a different part of the world, being able to travel, experiencing expat life. But despite people's reasons, the question still often comes round, what is teaching out here like in comparison to teaching in the UK or other parts of the world? And it's a valid question. It's a question that I've been asked myself by people on Instagram, on YouTube comments and things like that. And so I figured that having been out here for a few years now and having taught in the UK myself prior to moving out here, I've got a pretty good view of what it's like to work in both places. Plus, I've got many friends that have worked all over the world teaching. So I've got a bit of an idea as to what it's like to work here in other parts of the world and obviously what it's like back home. Now, the first point I will make about working out here in the UAE versus working back at home is the length of the days. They're considerably longer. Now, back in the UK, school day tends to start around 9 a.m. and then you're finished by 3:15. That obviously extends to about 4 o'clock if you've got meetings or after school clubs. Here, children get into school for 7:15. And at least at my school, the school day then fully starts at 8 o'clock. So we do have at least an hour, if not 2 hours, in school before we would if we were in the UK. So the days are generally longer. Now, one benefit is that we do now actually have half-day Fridays, which is very nice. Wasn't always the case here in the UAE. When I first moved out here, we didn't, and we worked 5 days, full days like everyone else. But about a year or two ago, they introduced the half-day Friday, and it kind of feels as though you've got a 3-day weekend, which is very nice. 12 o'clock on a Friday rolls around, and you're done. Now, back in the UK, every teacher is entitled to a certain amount of non-contact time where you're not working with the children. And it's exactly the same out here in the UAE. The only thing that's slightly different, and it's very beneficial if you work out here, is the amount of non-contact time you get. Now, if my memory serves me, back in the UK, I used to get the equivalent of half a day a week of non-contact time. And that was spread out depending on how the week was scheduled. Here, because we have specialist lessons, the children have Arabic, they have Islamic studies, they have specialist PE lessons and swimming lessons, they have specialist music lessons, I get much more non-contact. In fact, most days I get at least 1, if not 2 or 3 periods free, where I can plan, mark work, and do all the admin tasks that back in the UK I had to do at home. Not all schools out here have that benefit. I am in an independent school, so I do fortunately get that additional time. Daisy, my partner, she doesn't get that as much, unfortunately, and I know many of our friends also don't get that much extra time, so it really depends on the school. Now, in terms of the lessons themselves, they're very similar in both places. You tend to have 40 minutes to an hour per lesson, and you're expected to achieve an objective, and it's exactly the same with all teaching. So it's pretty similar. Now, one area that you may not be used to, obviously it depends on where you teach currently. If you teach in an inner city, then you may experience this, but out here in the UAE, there is very high levels of non-native English speakers, which means that when you're trying to teach them English and writing and reading, you have to be very mindful that their native language for most of them is Arabic. So that comes with its challenges, but that's why we teach, right? We teach to support them. So you will find that that is a challenge if you come out here, that you'll have children that don't know English as well as others, but that is part of teaching. Now, most schools out here will have a learning support department. I mean, that's the same in the UK. You have someone who is there to look out for those children that have additional needs. And I've found that they are very useful. They're very helpful. They're there to support you with children that struggle with language. They're there if there are children that have additional needs that need support in the classroom. So you will get that support where you need it. But again, how that support fully looks really depends on your school. It's getting hot now, isn't it, Zooks? We've just come on a walk. The sun is slowly setting, but it's still about 35 degrees, eh, mate? I think we need to go back and get some water. A bit puffed out. Zuko. Good boy. Now, part of teaching is being inspected. Part of teaching is being observed. And that could be being inspected by the likes of Ofsted if you're in the UK. Out here we have ADEC, the Abu Dhabi Department of Education. We also have KHDA down in Dubai. So there are different organisations and, in this case, government groups that will come down to check to make sure that you're rated appropriately. That still happens. Progress is expected. So yeah, you would expect the same thing, whether you're in the UK with Ofsted or whether you're here with ADEC or KHDA. Inspections very much still happen. In regards to observations, these happen fairly frequently, once every full term, but again, no different to the UK. You tend to get observed by your head of department, your head of year. You sometimes might get inspected by the deputy head or the headmaster or headmistress. Again, really depends on the school. Sometimes if they have governors or other interested parties that want to see the progress and how are the schools doing, again, you may well be observed. But I wouldn't say I've been observed any more out here than I was back home. That's it, buddy. We're back now. We're home. Come on in. Now, I've mentioned a few times in this video that it depends on the school that you're with. And the reason I say that is because many of the schools out here in the UAE are independent schools. They're private. They are managed by a CEO, they have a holding company, and whatever happens within the school is up to the school. And whilst those schools are all held by account by the local system, the government system, whether that's ADEC or KHDA or whatever system is in place, they essentially can manage their own finances, their own pay scales, they can manage all of that because it is a private institution. And because of that, every school is ever so slightly different in the tech that they use, in the support they provide their teachers, and so on and so forth. And therefore, if you were to come out here, you would need to pick a school that you feel is suitable, think about the interview process and all that kind of stuff. In comparison, the UK, whilst there are independent schools, there are private schools in the UK, a lot of schools in the UK are managed by the government, and therefore there are set standards across the entire system. So depending on whether you've got children of need, if you've got children with additional needs, with language needs, you will get provided a certain amount of money to support those children. So standards across the board are set. Now, obviously, not every school in the UK is going to be the same, but in terms of the management and the direction of those schools, they're all going to be fairly similar because they are government-led. Out here, it's different. So, is teaching out here in the UAE easier or more challenging, harder than back home? Well, there's not really a straight answer to that question. Hopefully, you've picked up some ideas from this video so far based on my own experiences. Now, for me, I wouldn't say I find teaching here easier, but I would say that with the free periods or the non-contact periods that I am able to get a lot more work done. So I would say that my work-life balance is better here than it is back at home. I obviously make the most of and enjoy the tax-free lifestyle, and the wage that you get here is better than in the UK. But in terms of the actual job, I would say there are pros and cons to both. I am in what I consider to be a very good school. I feel well supported and therefore I enjoy going to work. But I guess not everyone would be the same as me. That comes down to individual preferences and individual school experiences. So, yeah. Now, if you are considering moving out to this part of the world to teach and you have any questions, you have any queries, perhaps you've got job interviews and you want some advice, come and let me know. Either comment down below in this video, go over to Instagram and follow me and ask me questions, and I will endeavour to get back to you and I will help you at the best that I can. If you haven't already done so, guys, please consider subscribing. Go and follow the links down in my bio. There's a variety of different things down there, including TEFL courses and things like that. Go and check all that out, and I will see you in the next one.